Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with a really splendid Beethoven disc that deserves some serious consideration. It's on the Azica label. It's been around for about, 20 years or so, and it consists of Daniel Shapiro doing the Diabelli variations and the piano sonata opus 90. Now, this came back to my attention. I mean, I've had it for decades. Jed Distler, our very own Jed Distler, recommends this Diabellis as one of the great ones, and it is. And so is the sonata, actually. But this came back to mind because we had just done a review. Remember, we did this review, or I did this review, but we did this review of the Vikingur Olafsson Moss album. Remember that? You know, he's laying on moss and he does the Beethoven Sonata Opus 90 in a rather spasmodic way. And along with other things, Beethoven Opus 109 and some Schubert and Bach and whatnot. And that was a fairly mediocre disc. And this is splendid. And it's been around for decades and no one pays any attention to it. And it I think, really reveals the wackiness and screwed upness of the classical music universe. Because Daniel Shapiro, he teaches at the Cleveland Institute. He is a Beethoven specialist. I mean, he gives complete cycles of the Beethoven sonatas. He knows Beethoven like nobody knows Beethoven. And his performances, it would be one thing if his performances were like bizarre, but they're fabulous. I mean, he really understands the music. He projects it with complete sincerity. I've seen a bunch of his YouTube videos. You can go look at them too. He's a tremendous Beethoven pianist. And here he has this one single Beethoven CD that's been around for 20 years and that's one of the best in class, and nobody knows anything about it. And that, I think, embodies like the tragedy of classical music today. We have marvelous performers, wonderful performers, people who have very solid careers in what they do. And he's a teacher, and he gives recitals periodically. Somebody should hook up the microphones and probably do a complete Beethoven cycle with him. That would be a good thing. He gives concerts with other artists. Peter Vispilve on cello particularly, I think he's known for doing some of those. There's one other disc of his works, the late Brahms piano works on Centaur, which is also quite splendid. You know, he's the real deal. And that doesn't mean you're going to have a career. That doesn't mean you're going to have a PR apparatus behind you. That doesn't mean you're the most photogenic guy in the room. It doesn't mean you look good lying on a bed of moss, you know, or your hands are doing this all the time. You know, I mean, it's truly a strange set of circumstances that confronts us. And, you know, I'm happy to talk about this recording because, like I said, it's still available. It's on a small label. It's been around for decades. It's still in print. I mean, you can buy it, but nobody knows. There's no money to promote it. Shapiro does not have a huge international career. He is a local artist who is known among connoisseurs. And in the classical music world, I mean, classical music is for connoisseurs, and then you've got the connoisseurs of the connoisseurs, and then you've got the connoisseurs of the connoisseurs of the connoisseurs, because you've got, you know, the classical music people who are a niche, then you've got the piano people who are a niche, then you've got the Beethoven piano people who are a niche of the niche of the niche, and then you've got the small label piano person who's the niche of the niche of the niche of the niche of the, yeah, you know, it just goes on and on and on. And where are these people going to get the attention? But okay, so you get it, right? This is a stupendous Beethoven disc. And let's talk about the performances a little bit. Okay, the Diabelli variations. Well, it's one of the monuments of the keyboard, a very tough work to pull off. I mean, it's 50 minutes of continuous playing, depending on your tempos. 33 variations on a waltz by Diabelli. It's just full of everything Beethoven knew how to do on the keyboard. And it can fall apart. It can sound mannered and bizarre. You could put you to sleep. This performance is splendid. And it's splendid largely because Shapiro understands the pattern of tension and release, how to group the variations to create interior climaxes and relaxation. And I'm thinking particularly, let me see, it's the set of the three variations, beginning with variation 21, 22, and 23. Now, 22 is the Mozart one, the one based on Notte, Giorni, Fatti, Car, from Don Giovanni. That's that one. And they get increasingly manic. And Shapiro builds them to a really wonderfully tense climax, after which we get the Fuguetta, the famous Fuguetta, the little fugue, which is an andante. And suddenly he's mezza voce. The music takes on this almost supernatural sense of calm, which is a wonderful, wonderful contrast. We have a similar situation, although it's slower tempos, at the very end of the work, where you've got, let's see, I got the tempo things here, the Poco Adagio, which is variation 29, the Andante Sempre Cantabile, and the Largo Molto Espressivo, which is the long one. It's 5 minutes long. And there you've got a big clump of slow music that needs to be paced and diversified, but without breaking the long line. And he does all of that. And then the final fugue comes banging in there like it wakes you up from a trance. It's wonderfully dramatic and exciting. And the final minuet is just gracious and it's just a wonderful summary of all that's beautiful and elegant about the work. It's a wonderful performance of the Diabelli variations, absolutely. And we get the Sonata number 27, Opus 90, which is the one that Olafsson did on his Bed of Moss. And it has everything his performance didn't. It has huge range of expression, but without breaking the long singing line. It has climaxes in tension. He doesn't poke at the music with that crazy staccato articulation that Olafsson uses. It sings in the second movement. It's a beautifully shaped, knowing performance. And so there is no justice in the universe of classical music. But if you care about Beethoven, and if you want to hear what really fine artists are doing who don't get as much attention as they deserve, then give Daniel Shapiro and this Beethoven Masterworks, it's called, disc on Azica, an opportunity. And I think you're going to be extremely impressed and satisfied. I really do. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care.